is going on? Okay, fine. I'll turn off monitoring again. Yeah, it seems like there's something broken with this. I had to turn off monitoring and output for the mic, so I need to have the mic set up. In TikTok's live studio. Damn. I'm gonna have to remake these scenes. Thank you for the head patch, the clown nose, and the autism creature, by the way. It would be cool if TikTok supported OBS. It does, via the virtual camera. That's what I'm using. They gave, after like 3 streams on Streamlabs, they gave me the ability to use the virtual camera for OBS. They were like, here, send your OBS scenes over to TikTok. They just sent me a notification for it. So I've been using TikTok Live Studio ever since with OBS. Okay, now I'm gonna go live on YouTube. And, streaming, CD, how long? It's gonna be like 2.5 hours.
Tickled off Patrick just redeemed yeehaw.
Okay, the timer is up on YouTube and TikTok. I need to go live on TikTok now. Alright, I'm live on TikTok as well as YouTube and Twitch. Okay, bye Clothman. Sleep well. So the first thing I'm gonna do is this 120 words per minute practice. I started it earlier. I didn't finish it. Cookies for everyone. I have muffins if anyone wants a muffin.
Cloth_man just redeemed hydrate.
Thanks for redeeming hydrate. Okay, so I am sitting as close to my mic as I can with my Steno machine between my legs. And let me monitor on TikTok. Monitor the live stream. I had cheese pizza, you know, the Tino's brand? I'm not familiar with that brand. Okay, so I do have, let me just make absolute sure that this speaker up so loud. TikTok. Should be at 50% at least. I hope that's enough, that it's low enough. I might put it down a little lower, actually. 40%. I can't hear it, so... Oh, Tostinos. Right? Isn't it Tostinos? Thought it was Tostino's. Okay. So I have this 120 words per minute practice that I was doing this morning. I got a little bored, so I was like, let me just do some more Steno before my Steno stream today. This is the rest of the jury charge in literary. I only have 4 minutes left on it. Everyone get out your Steno keyboards. This live stream is not going to get any viewers, I don't think.
Balanced.
What is she saying?
To prove that
I think she might have been in the middle of a dictation when I paused it. I appreciate you too. Thank you. Have a good sleep.
From another.
Yours is coming in today? Awesome. I hope you like it. I keep waiting for her to look up. Oh, there she is.
All right.
Looking up.
Now I'm going to give you some jury charge, and the subject is contributory negligence. And our brief for that is TREG, TREG, contributory negligence, TREG.
Mine is Craig's.
All right, here we go. Ready? Ladies and gentlemen of the jury, contributory negligence is a want of ordinary or reasonable care on the part of the person injured by the negligence of another, directly contributing to the injury as a proximate cause thereof. Contributory negligence may also be defined as a failure on the part of a person injured by the negligence of another to exercise ordinary or reasonable care to avoid the injury. One cannot recover damages for an injury to the commission of which he has directly contributed if the passenger is at fault, whether because of doing something he should not have done or in failing to do something he should have done, then he cannot recover any damages for injuries he has sustained. If the passenger's negligence has been a proximate cause of his injuries, he cannot recover from another who has also been negligent. But before you can find that the plaintiff is barred from recovery because of his own contributory negligence, you must find that his negligence was a substantial factor which, together with the defendant's negligence, proximately caused the accident. If the plaintiff, in the exercise of ordinary care under the circumstances, should have been aware either that the defendant was unmindful or some danger known or apparent to the plaintiff, or that the defendant was not taking proper precaution in the operation of the car, and the plaintiff failed to admonish the driver or failed to take proper steps for his own safety, and if such failure to admonish the driver was a substantial factor in proximately causing the accident, then the plaintiff cannot recover, even though the driver was negligent. But if you find from the evidence, as the car in which plaintiff was riding approached the place of the accident, the plaintiff exercised the care that a person of ordinary prudence and care would have exercised under the same circumstances with regard to admonishing the driver, then the plaintiff was not guilty of contributory negligence. The burden of proof rests upon the defendant to prove by the preponderance of the
Take it
evidence
off, Patrick.
that
Just
the
redeem
plaintiff
yeehaw.
was guilty of contributory negligence. And if on this question
Thank you.
find the evidence evenly balanced or preponderating in plaintiff's favor, then you will find that the plaintiff was not negligent.
Okay. That's the end of that. I didn't do very well on that.
Got some interesting facts. This is Facts About the Body, Part 3.
Maybe she's a little low. Let me put her up a little bit. One.
Here we go.
Facts about the body.
The average person's total skin covering would weigh about 6 pounds if collected into one mass. The average woman's thighs are 1.5 inches larger in circumference than the average man's. Not fair. An average man on an average day excretes 2.5 quarts of sweat. The palms of the hands and soles of the feet contain more sweat glands than any other part of the body. False teeth are often radioactive. Approximately 1 million Americans wear some form of denture. Half of these dentures are made of a porcelain compound laced with minute amounts of uranium to stimulate fluorescence. Without the uranium additive, the dentures would be a dull green color when seen under artificial light. For many years after the Battle of Waterloo, dentures known as Waterloo teeth were sold throughout Europe. These were actual human teeth extracted from the corpses of soldiers on the Waterloo battlefield. They were especially esteemed among denture wearers because most of them came from young, healthy boys. The older a person gets, the less sleep he requires. A child should get from 8 to 9 hours a night. An elderly adult can do well with 4 to 6 hours. The liver is a gland, not an organ. There are 10 trillion living cells in the human body. Tongue prints are as unique as fingerprints. The human body has 45 miles of nerves. The fingernails and the hair are dead. Both are made of a tissue called keratin, which is similar to the dried skin cells that continually flake off the body. Hair and nails, however, originate from living cells. Growth occurs at the base, and new cells push the dead hair and nails upward. Then the cells themselves die to be pushed up and replaced by more from below. While 7 men in 100 have some form of color blindness, only 1 woman in 1,000 suffers from it. The most common form of color blindness is a red-green deficiency. The mouth produces a quart of saliva a day. Human nails and hair do not grow after death. They are simply the last part of the body to disintegrate. The fingernails grow faster on the hand you favor. If you are right-handed, your right fingernails will grow faster. If left-handed, your left. The middle fingernail grows faster than all the other nails. Interesting. All right. And that concludes.
Okay, that concludes that.
Tickled off Patrick just redeemed Pat My Head.
Thanks for redeeming Pat My Head. Okay, we're doing the Q&A now.
Hello everyone, welcome to the 120 Q&A practice.
I'm gonna do
We're
terribly
going to start off with direct examination, so plaintiff will be questioning.
Direct
Ready?
examination.
Now, Mr. Driscoll, before this accident, besides the one that you were involved in when you were 10 years old, had you ever been involved in any other accidents where you had been injured? You mentioned something about a tank. Oh, that was in Korea. Did you fall off a tank? Yes, I did. And what happened? What did you do? Did you injure yourself? My neck and shoulder hit the side of the tank. I had cuts and bruises all over my body. Were you hospitalized for that? Yes, I was put in the military hospital. You did suffer from frequent headaches because of that accident, did you not? I wouldn't blame it on that accident. What do you blame your headaches on? Well, I don't know. You were suffering during the Korean War from frequent headaches, weren't you? Yes, when I was out in the middle of the jungle. This was a different type of headache. I don't care what type it was. You were suffering from headaches, were you not? Frequent headaches? Counsel, please don't badger the defendant.
Yeah, why are you talking to the defendant that way? I don't care what type of headache it was. You were suffering from headaches, were you not? Like, how snotty.
Thank you. Counsel, please don't badger the defendant. Thank you, Your Honor. Did you have headaches before you had this accident when you hit your head on the tank? No, but they followed from this accident with the tank. Is that correct? Yes. Have you been involved in any other accidents besides the ones you have told us about? Well, yes, I lost my finger in an automobile accident, but you already know that. You told us about that, the accident when you were 10 years old. Yes. Any other accidents that you can tell us about? Nothing serious, no. All right, since your accident in September of 2012, have you been involved in any other accidents of any kind at all? My car was really smashed up. Were you in your car? I was in the car, yes. When was this, please? Oh, let me see. Oh, I've forgotten. It was a brand new car, probably about 1 year ago. And it was totaled? No, this guy, he's the son of the mayor of Topeka, Kansas. Anyway, his pickup was parked on a slope without the emergency brake on. It got away from him. I was coming from the post office, and I just stopped at this stop sign, just started up, and the pickup smashed into my car. Were you injured in this accident? No, just the car. Is the answer no, just the car? Yes, just the car. His pickup had more damage. Was this accident sometime this year or last year? Let me see. It was in January of this year. Was there a driver in this pickup truck, or was it driverless? He said that I ran into him. Can you imagine? Was there a person in the pickup sitting behind the wheel? No, there was no one in the automobile. It was driverless. Did you receive a citation for this accident? Yes, I did. Did this accident occur since you have moved to Kansas City? Yes, because I had come to Topeka to see the doctor, and my brother wanted to come home by way of his place. That seemed to be fine with me because I had friends in Topeka I could visit. On my way to my brother's, I went to the post office, and that's when it happened. That was after you had moved from here to Kansas City, is that correct? Yes. And how did that pickup hit your car? Was it head on? Yes, right. Right front grille and headlights and fender. The front of the pickup hit the front of yours. Is that right? The front of his pickup. The front of his pickup hit the front of your car? Yes. Was he going the opposite direction from you? His car was going forward. It was like a head-on collision, only I was starting to stop. All right, how fast were you going at the time? 30. How fast was the pickup going? Oh, I don't know how fast it was going. I was trying to avoid the impact because several people were yelling at me to get out of the way. It wasn't going fast? How fast? He couldn't have been going very fast, maybe 10 or 20 miles per hour. Excuse me, when you say he, do you mean someone was driving the truck? Well, now, there was a little argument there that I lost. I said that he was backing out, which he was doing. But he wasn't in the truck, was he? No, he was. He just walked into the mayor's office to see his dad, and evidently, he didn't set the emergency brake. Did you hit the steering wheel or hit your head on any part of that car? Yes, I hit my head on the windshield and broke it with my head. Okay, we'll switch transcripts.
Jesus.
This is more of some medical from a psychologist.
I don't even know how to write psychologist.
There
Hold
we
up.
go. Now, this is not exact. There we go. Now, this is not exactly an unusual phenomena that an individual take the fight with the lip. An individual gets involved, he is drinking pretty heavily, gets involved in a fight. The next morning he wakes up and has a busted lip or sore hand or whatever. This is not an unusual experience for an individual who has been drinking a little heavy. You mean the injury or the amnesia? The amnesia. The amnesia is quite common in a person where there is a long history of drinking. You don't get this when you just begin drinking. And this amnesia doesn't necessarily mean that the individual, at the time he is in the fight, does not have an awareness of what he is doing, that he is involved in a fight. It deals with the recall factor of the brain, doesn't it? Yes. so that the person can be acting in a situation where he has full or he has awareness of what he is doing. And then the next day, for some reason, the brain does not function to put this recalling information in the brain. That's correct. There also is another possibility, isn't there, doctor? I'm thinking of a situation where perhaps a person does something untoward or improper, and as he has been drinking pretty heavily, and the next day he prefers not to remember those events, perhaps you, as a doctor, could get him talking about it. Or maybe he just won't talk about the events at all, and it's somewhat conscious, a conscious effort not to recall. Have you had experience where people have done that? They have been... It's quite common to have what we call retrograde confabulation, where one has an area of amnesia and then fills it in because we just can't tolerate having an area of amnesia, and they make up and figure out what should have happened. Is there also the other possibility where the person, if some information is given to him, starts to remember the party and the incident, but he refers or prefers not to talk about it? Is there a possibility of a recall that may be hazy, but he just as soon not discuss it in full detail with anyone? It's embarrassing. This is a possibility, yes. So we are dealing with the recall function of the brain versus the awareness function when we are talking about amnesia. Is that correct? Yes. As far as his telling you that he didn't remember getting the gun and getting ammunition, you put this down as a situation where he was having amnesia about those facts? Yes, I did. You accepted that statement as being true? Yes. Okay, and that concludes our...
Okay, we're gonna get the rate in a few minutes. Not enough time to do this test.
Hello, this is a 120 Q&A test. Plaintiff attorney is Mr. Howard, Howard. Defense attorney is Mr. Monty, Montey. Again, plaintiff attorney Mr. Howard, Howard. And defense is Mr. Monty, Montey. All right, this is going to start off with plaintiff attorney.
Okay, we're gonna get the rate in soon. So I'll just pause and wait for the rate to come in. Just waiting. Just waiting before I tackle this test. Not doing all that good today on anything. Hopefully I'll feel better about this when I to the 140. Raid should be coming in any minute now.
Divatron 9000 just rated with 33 viewers.
Hello! Welcome everyone! Howdy! Hiya! Sing it loud, ace and proud! Woo! I love that. Yes, I am also asexual, aromantic. Hello everyone! Welcome to my part of the Aspec Pride Raid Train. I'm doing stenography practice. I'm also raising money for Point of Pride. If anyone's interested in that, it's pinned. So you'll be able to donate via Tiltify, and I do have incentives. I am covering for someone who unfortunately could not make their raid train slot. Hope everyone's been having a good time today. How was the stream? Was it fun? I hope it was fun. Lots of fun. I'm currently in the middle of 120 words per minute practice that I started earlier in the day. It was wild. Ooh, what happened? Now I'm intrigued. I'm curious. I started this practice earlier in the day. We did a run of Sayonara Wild Hearts, and I had no idea. It's such a cool game. Oh, cool. I'm gonna look that up right now. Sayonara. Wild Hearts. It's $13 right now on Steam. A dreamy arcade game about riding motorcycles, skateboarding, dance battling, shooting lasers, wielding swords, and breaking hearts at 200 miles per hour. Wow! It was narrated by Queen Latifah? That's such a pull. That's awesome. I wouldn't have expected that from like a $13 video game. It was recommended to me as being queer and ace adjacent, and honestly, 10 out of 10. You know what? I'm gonna add this to my wish list then. I'll play it someday. One of the tags is great soundtrack, which is good because it's a rhythm game, apparently. It's canonically queer, though? Cool, that's awesome. I'm glad you had a great stream. It's like basically a concept album, but a game. That's so intriguing. We actually got to do the whole thing. It's not that long. Belated raid message. Hello! It broke your brain? Sounds like a fantastic game. I'll definitely buy it one day and try it out myself. I mostly play visual novels and story-rich games. Like right now, I'm playing 2 Megami Tensei games that my community voted on. One of them is called Raida Remastered, the mystery of the Soulless Army, and the other one is Metaphor Refantasio. I'm also playing Silk Song, and on Thursdays I practice stenography. I'm having a really nice time with Rida Remastered and Metaphor Refantasio. I played a Metaphor earlier today. This is my second stream of the day. I play it again tomorrow at 5 p.m. EDT. I'm very early in the game. I'm on my, I finished my 3rd stream earlier today for the game. And then I raided into the Aspec Pride's train afterwards. You love it? Yeah, it's a really fantastic game so far. I like the politics of it. I love the setting. I like the characters. I like the plot points so far. Like, it's really shocked me what happens in the game so early on too. It's just got like such a great narrative structure going on. I'm intrigued by it. I like it a lot. Okay, so for my part, we're doing stenography. I am currently at around 100 to 120 words per minute. The standard for court reporters is 225 words per minute, so I'm working on that. I'm working on what's called speed building, which is when you practice specifically to make to get at a higher speed. So it's recommended that you do 20 to 40 words over your words per minute over your actual speed. So I've been doing 160 and 140. I need to lurk and get some work done, but I hope the rest of the stream and the train go amazingly. Okay, bye. Thank you for the lurk. And thank you for streaming for the Pride Train. So I've been working on 140 and 160 words per minute for the past, like, month or two. It's been a while since I started. There are 200 videos in the 120 playlist. 250 videos in the 140 playlist. And, whoops.
Welcome to drill practice.
Whoops, I didn't mean to start the video. And 250 in the 160 words per minute speed building playlist. So these are my incentives for Point of Pride. For $10, I Steno a complex word of your choosing. For $20, I add something permanently to my dictionary. It could be anything. It could be an emoji. It could be a meme. It could be anything. For $30, I read a monologue, part of a video, text or something in Steno. For $40, I Steno without looking at the output for 5 minutes. And for $50, I create a custom Steno gift for you. Those are my incentives if anyone is interested in donating to Point of Pride. And there are commands listed in the pinned message in case you want more information. Alright, so I'm gonna get started on this 120 words per minute test. Do not judge me if my output is poor. It is 12 a.m. for me.
Attorney, right? This is going to start off with plaintiff attorney.
Plaintiff attorney.
Okay, here we go. So the one that was monthly, the other one, which one was that again? I want to make sure I understand correctly. This one is held monthly. And then you said there was one more that was monthly? No, it is monthly. The Animal Center is done quarterly. The Animal Center is quarterly? Uh-huh. Is that a yes? Yes, I'm sorry. That's okay. So the other one was quarterly. And were the duties similar? Similar, with the exception of I didn't have to carry the tubs and put them on the dollies. The binders for this were put into a case, and I would take those, pull the case. So all the stuff went into a case? Yes, exactly. And what about the other one? Did it go into a tub or a case? It went into a case. The animal center went into a tub, and I would just carry that tub. It wasn't as many board members, so it wasn't as many folders that I'd have to carry. Just one tub. And I always carried, a briefcase. Not a briefcase, but kind of like a bag to carry them in. A satchel? Something like that, yes. For all of them, you carried that? Yes, I did. And so you only carried the one tub for the animal center. Was that about the same weight, you'd say? 30 plus pounds? Yes, something like that. And how would you carry the one case for the other agency? That went into a pole, something that I could pull. It's a carrier that you pull. Okay, like a bag on wheels? Yes, I would put it in a carrier and drag that. It has like wheels, while I would carry my other. So it has wheels. Is that right? Yes, that is right. And then do you have any idea how heavy that rolling case actually was? It was more than 30 pounds. Okay, so you're doing the agency, the board meetings, compiling everything.
Hello?
And carrying it, and then you're doing the other agency quarterly? That is correct. Now,
How you doing, a nerd night? I keep forgetting how to write agency versus agent. It's never the way that I think it should be.
were there any other duties that you had? Yes, I handle all of the incoming mail, answer phones, and I schedule appointments. I schedule transportation whenever anyone needs to go out of town. Gosh, there's so much that I do. I'm the liaison for these agencies. So all the administrative type stuff.
Just getting ready for bed? Oh, okay. Did you come in with the raid? Liaison. How do I write liaison? There, that's how you write it. Yeah, stream has been going okay so far. I'm struggling really hard though on the material.
Is that right? Yes, exactly. Is there anything else that you haven't mentioned? I do all of the filing as well. Okay, what do you think you did the most on a typical day? Was it mostly sitting at the computer? Were you up compiling? What would you spend most of your time doing? Are we talking from the year 2012? August of 2012? Yes, from August of 2012. Well, I'd say between August and December of 2012, I was up a lot more because I was working for the different agencies. So that required me to prepare for those board meetings, which required me to be up a lot more. Okay, so I was moving from different offices. Were you sitting down? Were you standing up? Were you moving? Yes, I was doing all of those things. Okay, and was it different prior to August of 2012? No, it was the same. It was about the same up until that day? Yes. Then what happened after August 2012? I was relieved of my duties from one of the previous agencies that I worked for.
Agency again.
Okay, so the only thing we have on our word list is animal center. So that's capital ANIMAL.
Wait, animal center was capitalized? It's a proper name? Okay. Let me move this. Okay, this was class 34. So next time I do class 35.
Hello, everyone.
Let me save. Bookmark this. Move on to 140. Say hello to the next instructor.
Welcome to drill practice.
Drill practice
Let's
hard.
Start out with some things to be happy about.
Okay, things to be happy about. Just some random bullshit.
Ready? Drive-in root beer mugs. The Raisin Bran song. English library ladder chairs. The start of softball season. Tripods. Sugar houses. The sound of boats rocking in their berths. Vegetable combinations. Big checkerboard plaid. Egg shelling. Swedish cucumber salad. The things we don't talk about for fear that people won't understand.
How is that something to be happy about?
Learning to lay a fire. The upward flight of skyscrapers. A toe wiggling, breeze blowing day. When all the company you've got is a whistling tea kettle. An empty parking space. Breakers hammering a rocky coast. Cheek to cheek dancing. Goggles. Cherry chocolate color. The history of a 4-poster bed. All the tiny bumps that make up a basketball. Thinking good thoughts. Life jackets. Knit pearl combinations. Dimmers for lights. Pails of first run sap. Quilted kitchen appliance covers. Raisin sauce.
What is raisin sauce? Never heard of that before.
I have to admit, some of these things are things I would never have thought of, but it's definitely good vocabulary development.
Quilted appliance cover sounds stressful to me. Yeah,
There's some
me too.
words in here that you probably wouldn't hear too often, so but it's good to have heard them and practice them. All right, let's move on to
Imagine it on
our
a stove. Ugh.
1,000 most frequent words.
No, not this.
Again, these 1,000 words account for 85% of all words encountered in the English language. So,
Yeah, but it's so boring.
good practice.
It's
Okay, here we
so
go.
boring, and I don't think it's good practice.
Dear, made, glad, like, last, shall, more, other, to, right, also,
Oh, Patrick.
must, should, there, only, same, little, matter, give, find, sent, who, going, school, take, new, sir, let, attention, account, kindly, hope, year, first, week, wish, don't, thing, again, Mr., way, want, home, return, these, use, here, being, every, night,
My God.
back,
I just wanna.
soon,
I don't want to do this anymore.
however, because, until, price, better, today, believe, such, course, present, think, old, feel, information, best, note, amount, check, yet,
The point every time, yeah.
many, never, put, great, possible, cannot, man, shipment, right, advise, company, enclosed, since, down, ban, receipt, long, car,
Jesus.
always.
Wow, that went on for way too long. It was like 4 minutes of just itty bitty words.
All right.
What is next? It better be something more productive than that.
These are
Huh?
descriptions, I'll say.
Descriptions?
Looks like of things to do with cars, motorcycles. So it's good vocabulary practice, good number practice. Talks about miles per hour.
And
So let's give this a try.
She's not even-
Actually, these might all be motorcycles.
she's not even sure what she's looking at.
I'm not a motorcycle expert. All right, here we go.
Okay, I'm gonna try.
Revamped ZX7 Ninja. Kawasaki ZG1200 Voyager. The DX CD450 and the CG125. The more affordable VFR 750F. buy a ZX7 for $6,669. 11.22 seconds at 122.3 miles per hour. Get a MT90 HB16TL for only $191.23. 268.3 cubic centimeters. 75.3 miles per hour terminal speed. Quarter mile, 12.06 seconds, 119.2 miles per hour. Vented summer gloves, $17.88. FZR 400 Best Open Class Tourer 321 weighted pendants cost $894.41. Exhibit J54 is a K100 LT motorcycle.
Okay, that was really weird.
Those were, well, I mean, it was good. It was good practice. Just the numbers and letter practice.
Now I know how to write miles per
Even though
hour.
we're not quite sure. I mean, but I have heard of a Kawasaki motorcycle, so I'm assuming that's what these are. And then this last one that I read said motorcycle, so maybe motorcycles, parts for motorcycles. All right, well, that will conclude our drill practice.
Oh, that's the end of the drill practice. Okay, that's how it ended? Weird. Jury charge and literary.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's get started with some jury charge.
Jury charge. What's the subject of the jury charge?
And let me just take a quick glance here, see if there are any words that might be a challenge. We have proximate cause.
Proximate cause has a brief. It's prose.
Looks like approximately. All right, let's go ahead and give it a try. Ready? The defendant in the case has been accused of proximately causing the accident. As jurors, you must examine the evidence and determine whether this is the case. You must know the meaning of proximately causing the accident. The meaning of proximately causing the accident is immediately causing the accident. In order for the plaintiff to recover, the defendant must have proximately caused the accident. The issue goes to whether the defendant proximately caused the accident. It could be that the plaintiff proximately caused the accident. You must decide whether this is the case. You must decide whether the defendant was in any way responsible for any portion of the accident. This question is a question that is always considered in the cases of liability. You must decide who is responsible for proximately causing the accident. In liability cases, it is necessary to know who is responsible for causing the accident. The cause of the accident is most important in determining the amount of damages that are due the plaintiff. The plaintiff is able to recover if it can be shown that the plaintiff was not the proximate cause of the accident. You must determine who proximately caused the accident in this case. The defendant has admitted liability for the injury. The question now goes as to the amount of liability that the defendant must sustain. It has been shown that the plaintiff in this case was responsible for a portion of the accident. The plaintiff can be responsible for a portion of the accident. It is now for you, the jury, to decide the amount of liability involved. It is not necessary for the plaintiff to be free from responsibility. The plaintiff may be responsible for some of the accident. You must understand your duty in this regard. The duty of the jury is to determine whether the plaintiff should be able to recover all or part of the damages resulting from the plaintiff's part. You must determine whether the plaintiff is able to recover at all. As indicated, the defendant has admitted liability for a portion of the injury. A defendant may admit some liability. Whether the plaintiff suffered damages as a result of the liability of the defendant is not the only issue to be decided. What must be decided is whether these damages resulted from the defendant being the proximate cause of the accident.
That was a lot of proximately cause. Just a lot of that.
Alright, now let's do a portion of our article on writing the Republican National Convention.
Yeah, not this article again.
Ready?
No.
What were you reporting? How did you handle any unique situations that came up with this assignment? For example, special security, etc. DD. Security. Be early. Have your equipment organized and easy to navigate through security lines. Wear a smile even if the search gets to the point of ridiculous, absurd, and even invasive. And be friendly. Security is definitely an environment where what goes around comes around, and your understanding and compliant attitude go a long way. When you make their job easy, they are much more inclined to help you. ST. The first obstacle was just getting to the building. Streets were blocked, so it was difficult to get to the event location. While we stayed at a nearby hotel, a taxi could only get us so far, and then we had to schlep the equipment the rest of the way. We certainly had to allow ample time to navigate the heavy security requirements just to get there. Once inside the building, Debbie and I were reporting the platform committees. This involved many speakers discussing topics in a fast-paced environment, so it was certainly a challenge keeping track of everyone. It was sometimes hard to see who was speaking. It was also difficult at times to hear clearly due to the room size and mic placement. Each participant had terms, cases, and people they were discussing that were unique to their state, yet at the end of the day there was no opportunity to obtain spellings. It was a heavy research project in order to provide an accurate record.
I believe they shouldn't have done the captioning for the Republican National Convention.
All right, we'll leave that for now.
I think it reflects poorly on you.
There's a few more questions. So, and then we have an article called "Writing the Democratic National Convention." So we'll get to that one too. So let's get back to some jury charge practice.
At least TikTok isn't creating clips again.
Okay, ready?
What are we doing now?
Here we go. The judge reminded the jury that they were to act as a prudent person would act in determining the verdict for this case. As prudent people, they were told that if they found that there was not enough evidence to prove that the defendant has committed the crime for which he has been charged, they must move for an acquittal. On the other hand, they were told that they must return a verdict of guilty if, after having examined the exhibits and the testimony of the witnesses, they determined that there was enough evidence for a conviction. It was the testimony of the police officer that caused them to have the most doubt. The judge told them that as jurors, they must find that the defendant was guilty beyond all reasonable doubt, and if they could not find that he was guilty beyond all reasonable doubt, they must acquit him. They had to consider what caused them to have.
Okay, we're going into a 3-minute ad break, so I'll just sit here and just relax. Just gonna relax. Wait for the ad break to end. Minutes left. I don't want to eat a muffin. I'm gonna eat something while the ad break plays. Okay, we're back.
He was guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. They must acquit him. They had to consider what caused them to have reasonable doubt. They could not find the defendant guilty when they had reasonable doubt. The people had not convinced them beyond all reasonable doubt that the defendant was guilty. They were instructed by the judge to make the decision that any prudent person would make under the circumstances. Since this was a murder case, all the jurors must agree as to the guilt of the person, and all must feel beyond a reasonable doubt that he was guilty. They examined all the exhibits and went over in their minds all the testimonies presented by the various witnesses. Still, the testimony of the police officer was in question. They discussed the fact that his testimony had raised serious questions. In the end, they could not vote in favor of the people. They had to vote to acquit the defendant. They could not find him guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. In criminal cases, the people are considered the plaintiffs. Before a trial, a person charged with a crime is given an opportunity to enter a plea. It is the people, not an individual, who is bringing forth the action. The people are the individuals who are represented by an attorney.
Okay. We got around 8 minutes left in this jury charge and literary video. I'm gonna get to do the 160. I'm going up instead of going down this time.
Okay, let's get back to our article about writing the Republican National Convention.
Can we stop with this article?
See what the next question is and what the response is. Ready?
I don't like this article.
How is writing for a political arena different than legal reporting or broadcast captioning? DD. You just never really know what you are walking into. The product you are producing can be different than what you expect. The delivery system isn't always what you are used to. This is also an environment where new and innovative ideas can be formulated. Because you know the capabilities of your system, you are in the best position to look for opportunities to provide things that the client may not even know are possible. As you listen to conversations taking place around you, you can often think of ways they can use what you have to offer that they are unaware of, or something may come to your mind that, if you are skilled at the many features your software provides, you can change parameters to provide valuable resources to your clients in these unique settings. For example, I got done before Sue, so I was in my caucus room while the aides were working on the final documents. They were unable to reach a consensus on what had transpired, and finally, after quite a healthy debate, one aide looked at me and said, "Do you have the ability to tell us what was said?" "Yes, I certainly can." After reading back the pertinent sections, they said, "Can you stay until we are all done?" Immediately, I became an integral part of the team. ST. I've done some other political type work in the past, so I was aware that one of the unique challenges you always face is that many of the people involved are really not familiar with what's necessary on the reporter's part in order to make an accurate record. That means that you have to be able to quickly assess the environment when you walk in the room and be confident enough to speak up to your contact person on the site and tell them politely but succinctly what you need in order to do your job. Time is of the essence for everyone there, so organize your thoughts well, but make sure you have the conditions that best enable you to produce the best product possible.
Okay, we got 4 minutes left in this video.
Okay, let's get back to this jury charge.
Jury charge.
See if we can finish it up. Here we go. In this case, the defendant made a plea of temporary insanity. An attorney appointed by the state is a representative of the state. At the trial, the people bring forth the suit, but it is up to the jury to decide the guilt or innocence of the party who has been charged. The jury will make the decision whether the person is guilty beyond all reasonable doubt. The jury may decide that the individual is innocent beyond all reasonable doubt. When temporary insanity is the plea, the individual is hoping to avoid punishment. The attorneys who represent the state in all criminal cases must present enough evidence to convince the jury of the person's guilt. The defendant must be shown to be guilty beyond all reasonable doubt in the case. If this is the case, the results will be that the defendant is found to be not guilty. In cases where temporary insanity is the plea, a person is saying that he is not guilty by reason of insanity. If the jury is not convinced beyond a reasonable doubt of the defendant's innocence, then the jury must find in favor of the defendant. If that is the case, he will go free. To present the evidence in court, the attorneys that represent both sides will select people to testify at the trial. As one form of evidence, both attorneys will try to find evidence that will convince the jurors of their positions. Evidence presented in court is called testimony. Testimony consists of the words of the witness taken down while the witness is under oath. In addition to testimony as a means of offering evidence to the court, the attorneys may have any number of different types of exhibits to use as proof of their positions. Both sides have a right to as many exhibits as they have to support their sides. During the trial, the witnesses will be called, starting with the witnesses for the state. The state is putting on the case, so the state must prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. The state first presents one of its witnesses and questions the witness under oath. It is up to the state to prove the case beyond a reasonable doubt. After the state is finished questioning the witness, The other side is given an opportunity to examine the same witness. In examining the witness, the defense attorney will try to reduce the credibility of the witness. When the defense attorney questions the witness, he can ask questions that only have to do with the questions that were brought out by the state. When the state has finished presenting all its witnesses, the defense has an opportunity to call its witnesses.
Okay, that's it for that. We're doing the Q&A now. I did pretty good on that.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with some four voice.
Four voice. This is gonna be terrible.
I'll start with the plaintiff.
The plaintiff. Sure.
Ready?
I am ready.
All right. And after you exited the restroom, did you have a chance to take a little closer look at Bob himself? Yes, I did. What, if anything, did you notice about him? When Juan and Bob both came out of the restroom, I could see some white powder around the inside of their nostrils. Okay, and is that consistent with anything? Yes, it is. Which is what? Using cocaine. And then, did you leave the premises or stay? Left a short time later. Now, for that same day, July 8th, you said you returned back for a second visit? Yes, I did. Was Investigator Smither with you this time also? Yes. Just for well, that is all right. Was the premises open and operating on this second visit of that day? Yes, it was. Did you order anything to drink on the second visit? Yes, I did. What did you get? Ordered a beer. And were you served that item? Yes. Now, on the second visit of July 8th, who was the next person that you ran into that became relevant to your investigation? Ron Diaz approached me at the fixed bar. And did he say or ask anything of you? Yes, he did. And what did he say or ask? He said, "Are you looking for something?" Now, is this the first time that you met Ron, or no? I may have seen him in there a couple days prior, but this is the first time that we had a long conversation. And before he came up to you, did you notice that he was there inside as you think back? Yes. And what, if anything, was he doing, or was he just a patron, or what was he doing, if you recall? He was sitting at a table, I guess, north of the pool table, and he would walk around throughout the premises, come and go into the bathroom quite often, also do various chores for the bartender, like take empty beer bottles from the tables to her, and then I can't recall specifically what days, but on occasion would do other things for bartenders. When he came up to you and asked you this question, "Are you looking?" had you asked someone to get Ron for you, or did he just kind of come up to you unannounced? He came up to me unannounced. So your answer to his question was words to the effect of, "I'm always looking," something like that? Yes. Then what did Ron say or do the next? He asked me how much I wanted. I told him $20 worth, and he proceeded to sell me a small plastic Ziploc bag containing a white, powdery substance, and all of this occurred at the fixed bar. All right. So you say he asked you how much. You say 20. What is 20 supposed to mean? 20 is basically street slang for $20 worth of drugs. Okay, and so after you said designated 20 as the amount, what did you do next? I removed a $20 bill from my wallet. I believe I placed it on the chair next to me, and Ron pulled out the small plastic Ziploc bag and put it on the chair, and we both exchanged items. Okay, so at this, are you at like a bar? Where are you sitting? Sitting at the fixed bar, kind of the north end. And Ron, where does he get the item that he sells you? Where does that come from? He removed it from his pocket. From his pocket, okay. His coat, or I would have to refer to my report for the specific place he removed it from. But just from a pocket, in other words? Yes. And when he handed it to you, how did he do that?
Are the lights a person's speaking indicator? Yes. So he has a clicker for the lights, the light bulbs for P, W, C, D, plaintiff, witness, court, defendant. I actually have a Notepad++ up, and it's partially covering the light bulbs, so I sometimes have a hard time knowing who's talking. Both instructors have this little system set up. Yeah, it is pretty cool. It's very, very nice and handy.
He put it on the chair next to me, and then what did you do? I retrieved it and put it in my pant pocket. And during this time, do you recall where the bartender was? Bartender was behind the fixed bar, less than 10 feet from where we were. Okay, and at this time, on this occasion, July 8th, in the PM, were you able to ever identify who that bartender was? No. Man or woman? Female. So you're saying she was tending bar? Yes. When you were sitting next or close to Ron having this exchange, what is she doing? Basically running the bar.
Bye, Patrick.
Serving different people drinks. Typical bartender duties. Was it just the one bartender that night? Yes. I just wanted to make sure the record was clear and my notes were
clear. Female when asked man or woman, I know. Typical cop, right? Goes with the dehumanizing language instead of anything else.
Clear. You indicated that Ron took out the small plastic bag and put it on the chair. Did you describe what was in the bag? It was a white powdery substance. Okay. Was it in? What kind of container was it in? It was in a small, probably, I guess, 1-inch wide plastic Ziploc bag. Okay, so something you could see through? Yes. So when you picked it up, where did you place it? In my pocket. And then, what happened then with respect to Ruben? Basically, he left the bar area and we left a short time later. All right, and at some point in time, this item that you purchased from Ron, did you have that again submitted to the Los Angeles County Sheriff's Lab for scientific analysis? Yes, I did. And did you get a report back on that request? Yes. Your Honor, at this time, there will be a stipulation that item came back from the lab and tested as 0.37 grams of powder cocaine. So stipulated? Yes, the record will reflect that. Now, investigator, I'm going to have you focus your attention on another visit I understand you made on or about July 13th of 2006. Can you recall that visit? Yes, I do. And again, I assume you went with Investigator Smither? Yes, I did.
Okay, what's the next transcript?
All right, let's do now a little bit of just two voice.
Just two voice practice, okay. For the next 2 minutes.
Let's start with the defense.
Defense.
Ready?
A.
When did you meet Mr. Roger Burke? January 25. According to my records, your arrest and the seizure of the defendant's vehicle occurred on January 25. Right. Is that your recollection? Yes, it is. Where did you spend the prior night? The prior night? The night before the 25th? I was at home. So you were at your parents' home? Yes, I was. At approximately what time did you leave your parents' home for the first time that day? About 8 a.m. Where did you go? I'm not exactly sure where I went. How did you get there, wherever it was? I drove my car. The defendant's Corvette? Yes. Was anyone with you? No, I was alone. Do you recall where you went after that first stop? No, I don't. Was anyone with you? No, I don't believe so. And you had not met Mr. Burke prior to the 25th of January? No. Have you seen him or spoken to him since that date? No, I haven't. Do you know a Mr. Harry Norman? Yes. When did you meet Mr. Norman? In high school.
Okay. Now we just got the test to do, and then I switched to 160.
This will be a 140 Q&A practice test. Plaintiff attorney, Mr. Carter, capital C-A-R-T-E-R.
Carter.
Defense attorney, Mr. Jones, capital J-O-N-E-S. Defense attorney, Mr. Jones, capital J-O-N-E-S.
Okay. Who we're starting with?
And we'll start with the plaintiff. Have the doses of any of these medicines that you've taken in the past 2 years changed? I don't recall the doses. You mentioned that some doctors would increase your dosage. I think that Dr. Green, not Dr. Kim. I don't think I was seeing him at that time. What about Dr. Kim's assistant? I don't know the dosage. Dr. Green was the only one to increase your dosage. I am not certain of that. Why did he increase your dosage? I don't recall. You said he increased your dosage. I believe he did. Was it because you were getting more depressed? I believe so. Are you talking about Dr. Green increasing your Elavil? Do you have any recall of when the doses may have changed? I don't remember the dates. Well, around what time? Just when I was under his care. Are you still under his care? Yes, I still see him, but not as often. When was the last time you saw him? Several months ago. You said he hadn't returned your messages? That is correct. We missed each other. You don't believe he purposely didn't return your calls? No, I don't. It wasn't that important then? What? Your reason for calling him? I don't recall. So when was the last time you saw him? I don't remember the date, but it was several months ago. You said in your prior testimony that it was less than a year ago. That's about right. 6 months ago? I would say a little more than 6. At that time, did he prescribe more Elavil to you? I think I was still taking it. Did you have a problem with it? No, I didn't. Was it the reason you called Dr. Green? I don't recall. Was there any other reason you would have called him? I don't recall the reason. Were you depressed at the time? I don't recall. So how often do you take Elavil? Every night. So how many pills does the drugstore give you? I don't know the number of pills. So when you saw Dr. Green the last time, you were still taking the medicine at that time? I think so. So when you ran out, you just didn't get more then? He would give me a prescription. Who would? Dr. Kim or Dr. Green? Earlier, you said Dr. Kim was the last to prescribe the medication, correct? I said Dr. Kim's office. Oh, that's right. His assistant prescribes it, correct? That is correct. So he gave you enough for how long? A few weeks. How many weeks? I'm not certain of that. The last time you saw Dr. Kim, I think you mentioned that he prescribed a decrease in your dosage. That is correct. Did you mean Dr. Kim or his assistant? His assistant. Do you have any emotional complaints today that impair your ability to work? Yes. What are they? I am still depressed. They are about the same complaints that you had when you first saw Dr. Kim, aren't they? Yes. What do you mean by depressed? I don't feel like doing anything. Anything else? I don't like my job. So you only feel that you are depressed because you don't like your job? Misquoting her testimony, I'm asking her, oh, okay, is when you are at work the only time that you feel depressed? Sometimes at other times. When would that be? In general? In the rest of your life or at work? Most often at work. All right. So you are depressed because of your job? Yes. Okay. And you feel that same way in your personal life sometimes? Yes. Do you believe that your job has affected your personal life? Yes. In what way has it affected your personal life? I think it shows in my personal life. So your testimony is that because of your job, you feel depressed? Yes. Why did you stay at your job? I don't feel confident to get another job. Excuse me, what was the last part? I don't feel like going out to get another job. Did you lack self-confidence? Yes, I do. Do you lack self-confidence in other areas of your life?
Okay, that was the test. Very strange testimony. Can't recall anything have to do with their medication. I'm the opposite. I know what my dosages are, and I know what prescriptions I'm taking. I hope that person got a new job. Their job was sucked so bad that they were depressed? That sucks. Okay, we're doing the 160 now. I think I'll do the drill.
Let's get started.
Why is she so low? Let me boost her volume a little. There.
With some tingle tamers, get our fingers moving. Ready? Here we go. Inevitably undernourished. Presumptuous interference. unrealistically disheartened, popular alternative, dangerously unreasonable, aquamarine swimming pool, facsimile machine, downright upsetting, adulterated cosmetics, legislators balk, sweltering temperatures, surrounding localities, salute defective, supervisors approved, cherished myths, proposed bylaws, overall vacancy, insulating glass.
Okay, that's it for the Tangle Tankers. That was difficult. Under inevitably. Let me do inevitably first. Ha ha ha! Not in the dictionary. I had to build it. Okay. Inevitable. Okay, I got it. Inevitably. At least this means that I'm understanding the theory a lot better than I did before. That I'm able to build a word like inevitably. It could be a lot worse. Undernourished. Nourish. Undernourished. Facsimile. Okay. Facsimile. Downright. Adulterated cosmetics, legislators balk, sweltering temperatures, surrounding localities, locality, okay, vacancy, okay, I did it.
And this drill is a list of words that all begin with EX. The X sound, right? EX.
Okay, another EX exercise.
Let's give these a try. Ready? Exalt, exceed, exert, exclaim, executrix, excuse, exhibit, exit, expanded, expel, expert, expedite, expedite, explicit, expound, exterior, extent, external,
okay, there was expand, expanded. Oh, that's a cape. Why is it like that? Okay. Expanded. Expedite. That's not in the dictionary. I can't build it. Okay.
All right, now let's practice some names and spellings. Ready? Carol E. Dooney. D-U-N-N-E. Kayleen Espinoza. E-S-P-I-N-O-Z-A. Regan Evans. E-V-A-N-S. Trina Fellman. F-E-H-L-M-A-N. Mary Teresa Ferris. F-E-R-R-I-S. Lisa Garrison. G-A-R-R-I-S-O-N. Jennifer Gowell. G-A-U-L. Eric Goldberg. G-O-L-D-B-E-R-G. Robert Grauman. G-R-A-M-A-N-N. Kathleen Grove. G-R-O-V-E. Marlena Haig. H-A-I-G. Gerald Hanson. H-A-N-S-O-N. Kevin Hunt. H-U-N-T. Elizabeth Hurst Waits. H-U-R-S-T hyphen W-A-I-T-Z. Heidi Jeffries. J-E-F-F-R-E-Y-S. Melody Jeffries Peters.
It's me, Melody.
J-E-F-F-R-I-E-S. Capital P-E-T-E-R-S. Excuse me.
Do I remember how to write excuse me? Yes, I do. Look at that. I'm learning. I can learn things.
Okay. Let's move on and practice some cities and states.
Could always use more
Ready?
practice on
Here we
this.
go. Los Angeles, California. Sacramento, California. Tustin, California. Cocoa Beach, Florida. Chicago, Illinois. Meridian, Mississippi. Dunn, North Carolina. Dickinson, North Dakota. Rochester, New York. Staten Island, New York. Oakdale, Pennsylvania. Philadelphia, Pennsylvania. Smithfield, Rhode Island. Chesapeake, Virginia. North Chesterfield, Virginia. Fond du Lac, Wisconsin. Delafield, Wisconsin. San Marcos, California. Denver, Colorado. Littleton, Colorado. Worcester, Massachusetts. Appleton, Wisconsin.
Okay. We got 1 minute left in this drill.
Let's see if we have anything
To be happy about?
interesting in our 14,000 things to be happy about.
Okay. Figured she would pull out this book. She loves it.
Ready? Detectives. Dots, candy. Hot dogging.
Hot dogging? What is that?
Southern fried chicken with hush puppies. Double-decker Fifth Avenue buses. Investing your money. Waving out the car's back window. Kiwi fruit. Scanning a star-filled sky on a still winter night. Buttering toast generously and immediately so that the butter melts and sinks in. Buying a bunch of anything that is useful and nice.
Okay, I need to look up what hot dogging is. Hold up. What is hot dogging? Hot dogging. The performance of intricate, daring, or flamboyant stunts. That's what hot dogging is? It's also one word, hot dogging. Don't look at Urban Dictionary. Like, don't even. The act of one who hot dogs. The performance of intricate, daring, or flamboyant stunts. Okay, now I know what hot dogging is. Okay. Doesn't sound good yet. What else? There was fried chicken. Okay, I guess I have to write it in too. There's kiwi. I had about the right idea with kiwi. That looks to be it. That's all I got wrong on it. Let me like the video. Gotta leave a like. Jury charge and literary practice now. Let's see what we get at 160.
Welcome to literary and jury charge practice. Let's start with some literary material. And the subject or the title of this article is MD versus DDS.
Yeah.
And it's actually written by, I believe he's a legal videographer. Gene Bettler.
I don't know what
Ready?
MD versus DDS is. So I'm gonna learn something.
Court reporters' unique skills and knowledge do not end at the method of recording the deposition. And if the skill of taking the spoken English language to paper in the proper format is not enough, just think of the knowledge base that is required of reporters. Not only do they need to know medical and pharmaceutical terms well enough to distinguish between similar sounding items, but also engineering, forensics, chemistry, construction, banking, etc. As a CLVS, I am confident in my abilities to do my job in a professional manner and in a way that meets all the requirements of the industry. But to think that I could produce A transcript that meets the required standards from that recording is a ludicrous as thinking that a court reporter can take down the testimony and continuously evaluate and adjust the video and audio recordings during a deposition. Around 30 years ago, NCRA recognized video as a new tool in the legal environment. It saw the need to train and certify videographers in the unique requirements of legal videography, and the CLVS program was born. From that time on, the court reporter and the legal videographer have worked together as professionals to produce the best service to our clients possible. So it is always with great respect that I look across the deposition room to my partner, the court reporter. If there is anything else that I can do to make your job easier, please let me know. And to the court reporters of NCRA, thank you for everything you have done for us in the past, such as welcoming us into NCRA and developing the CLVS program. Working together, we not only set today's standards, but continually raise tomorrow's.
That was pretty interesting. A little brief history of videography being part of the field.
All right, now let's do a little jury charge.
Jury charge
practice.
is easier than literary, but it's still difficult at 160.
And we were working previously on a jury charge with the subject of drainage ditch.
Drainage ditch.
So let's carry on with this one for a bit. It's a bit of a challenge, so we'll do a little here. Ready? Outlining at that point into county ditch number 60 in the town of Fairview in the county of Cook, with a branch from the starting point running northerly to about 1,300 feet north of the west quarter corner of section 3, township 111 north, range 41 west, Marshall Township, with another branch from the starting point running southerly on the west line of the southwest 1/4 of said section 3, township 111 north, range 41 west, Marshall Township, a distance of approximately 80 rods, thence southeasterly across the south 1/2 of the southwest 1/4 to a point on the south line of said southwest 1/4 about 75 rods west from the south corner line of said section 3, thence generally south across the northwest 1/4 of said section 10 to approximately the center of said section 10, township 111 north, range 41 west, Marshall Township, thence generally in a westerly direction across the northwest 1/4 of said section 10, thence parallel to the right of the way of the C&N W Railroad, a distance of about 250 rods from the center of said section 10.
What the fuck? He didn't tell me it was land description.
I know it's a bit of a challenge, but it is definitely good number practice.
I can't even imagine doing that at 160. Like, I just
We'll
can't.
work on that later.
Work on that later? More?
Now, let's just start another jury charge.
I don't want to do more land description.
And the subject of this jury charge is burglary.
Burglary? Okay.
Ready? Here we go.
I'm ready.
Gentlemen of the jury, Herbert Powers is charged by an indictment returned by the grand jury of this county. One count charges burglary of a dwelling in the nighttime, which is a capital offense. The other count charges grand larceny of a home from a dwelling house. However, only one count will be submitted to you for your consideration, and that is the count charging that he broke into and entered the home of Michael Durant in the nighttime. You can't convict him under both counts. You can only convict him under one count, and that is the count that will be submitted to you for your consideration. Under our system of laws, the defendant is presumed to be innocent. Every defendant that is brought into court before the bar of justice in answer for criminal transgressions is presumed under our fundamental law to be innocent, and that casts the burden upon the state to prove him guilty by the testimony beyond a reasonable doubt and to a moral certainty. Now you have heard the testimony. You saw the witnesses as they gave their testimony. You had an opportunity to observe their demeanor upon the witness stand. Any show of nervousness or lack of it, any hesitation. Did any of them pause and hesitate while giving their answers, or did they speak out forthrightly? The law says that you may even take into consideration the facial expression of the witness as he gives his testimony in determining what weight and credibility you will accord to him. All the circumstances surrounding the witness in the giving of his testimony, the manner of the witness, the demeanor of the witness, everything is to be considered and weighed by you in determining what probative value and force you will accord to his testimony. Now the defendant elected to become a witness for himself and testify in this case, which he had a right to do, and you cannot capriciously cast aside his testimony. The law says that you must take his testimony and consider it along with all the testimony in the case, but that you have a right to take into consideration the fact that he is the defendant and is interested in the result of this trial. There was some evidence in this case that he was previously convicted and served a term in the penitentiary for a crime involving moral turpitude. You may consider that for one purpose only. It goes to his credibility. You may consider that testimony in determining what weight you will accord his testimony, how much credit you will accord to him as he testified in this case. You are the sole judges of the facts in this case. It is your responsibility to resolve the facts and determine what the truth is. As I said, the burden of proof is upon the state to convince you beyond a reasonable doubt.
Hey. I don't understand the etiquette on TikTok for live streams.
Alright, now for some literary practice.
I don't know if people want to be called out.
This is about
the stream
networking.
tells you anyway when they come to the
Ready?
stream. They tell me every time.
This article, might I say, is not for the person who has no problems in new social situations. If you're naturally gregarious, extroverted, chatty, what have you, this article will seem like a big oh duh. However, for some of us, many more than I would think, the social aspect of conventions is the most intimidating or exhausting. Here are some things that have helped me. When you think I don't know anybody, let me fill you in on a secret, nor does anyone else. It seems like everyone is in a little conversation group but you. It seems like everyone is mingling and having a good time, but I guarantee you most of those people have just met. Yes, there are some of us who have gone to every conference event since Benjamin Franklin discovered serial ports, but those aren't the majority. Give yourself permission to stand to the side during the Thursday evening reception or the Saturday night party and just observe. Look for loosely knit groups of 2 or 3 groups where they're not gathered in a tight circle but have a circle that's slightly open according to their body language, and introduce yourself. Heck, just say it. I'm new to these things and I don't know anyone. State your name, and I'm a profession from your town. What do you do? That line works with individuals just as well. Lather, rinse, repeat. Where do I sit? It's lunchtime and you don't have someone to sit with. I like to play table roulette. Sit at an empty table that's in the middle of things and see who sits with you. Better yet, join the board and you get a reserved table. Therefore, you don't have to worry. And by the way, if anyone asks you if you want to join them for dinner, say yes.
I'm not sure what that advice was for. I had
We'll
two
get back to that one.
smoothes. I had 0 earlier.
Let's try some more jury charge practice.
We're doing more jury charge practice, but first, Twitch is going into an ad break. Did I call out the people that are coming to the live stream? I've seen some people do that. I've seen other people do not do that. I don't want to be weird and call people out. Especially when they're just scrolling. Anyway, Twitch ad break has just started. I am in 1st, 2nd, and 3rd place for my clips leaderboard. 10. What's the second one? Come on. Give me the second. 7. And 7. 10, 7, 7. This live stream is gonna end in how much time? Around 20 minutes. There's 2 minutes left. That was quick? You got a quick ad? Oh, wait. You don't get ads because you're a subscriber. Yeah, this live stream has gone pretty quick. It was just, it feels like it was just like 10 minutes ago that I started it. And instead, it's been 2 hours. That's amazing. That is the gift of stenography at high speeds. Once you get to the high speeds, you start like, everything feels like it's going a lot faster. I might be able to do the Q&A. Check. Yeah, there is 10 minutes left in that, and the Q&A is probably going to be 10 minutes. So, I'll be able to do the Q&A probably. The next person, the person I raid into, I copied their name. Let's do a quick shout out. Why don't we do that? That's the person that I raid into for this Aspec Pride Raid Train. Alton Ernesi. I actually don't know how to pronounce the last name. Okay. We are now due for more jury charge.
Ready?
Ready.
Then that calls for the question, what does it take to constitute reasonable doubt? It is not imaginary doubt. It is not a speculative doubt. It is not a fanciful doubt. But the law says that a reasonable doubt is an actual, substantial doubt, a doubt for which you can give a reason. It must be a reasonably substantial doubt. The state doesn't assume the burden of showing beyond all possible doubt. Everything related to human affairs or pertaining to human transaction is susceptible of some doubt. So our Supreme Court has ruled, and the law writers have tried to hit upon a reasonable, fair, sensible definition of a reasonable doubt. They say it is an actual and substantial doubt. Now, if the testimony in this case is such as to create in your minds a bona fide conviction of the guilt of this defendant, then you are convinced beyond all reasonable doubt, and you ought to convict him. On the other hand, if you are not so convinced, it will be your duty to acquit the defendant. As I said before, you are seekers after the truth, and it is for you to find the truth. And when you find it, write it into your verdict and let it speak out. Truth is a fundamental virtue. Banish it from the earth, and you might as well banish the light, because the world would be a desert. The sweetest note would lose its melody, the fairest flower its language, and all nature would be as dead to music as the tongueless grave. Truth holds the key that unlocks the door to every virtue and opens the gates to every righteous conception of justice. So you find the truth in this case and write it into your verdict. Now let's see about the rule that our Supreme Court has laid down in reference to this sort of burglary. You know the law says that burglary is the breaking and entering of a dwelling house in this case. What does it take to constitute a breaking? If a man shoves a door to, and the burglar comes along and just pushes it open, the law says that is sufficient breaking. That constitutes breaking. If he pulls back a screen and enters, that is a breaking. If he reaches in and opens the latch and opens the door, the law says that is a breaking. We have one case in this state where a man undertook to go into a man's house by going down the chimney. He got stuck in the turn and couldn't go any further, and they had to fish him out. That man was prosecuted, and it went to the Supreme Court, and the Supreme Court said that was a breaking. If a man raises a window far enough to reach in where he can take something, or if he does take something, the law says that constitutes breaking. There is some testimony here to indicate that at the time this man was arrested, he had possession of the property that was taken from the home. While the possession of goods or other personal property recently stolen does not, as a matter of law in this state, raise the presumption of guilt, yet when the evidence beyond a reasonable doubt establishes a larceny, that this property was stolen, accompanied by a burglary, the unexplained recent possession by the defendant of the stolen property is a fact from which the jury may draw the conclusion that the person in whose possession it was found is the person who committed the burglary. This is a rule laid down by the Supreme Court. In another case, in which a man by the name of Moore was prosecuted and convicted, our Supreme Court laid down this rule in disposing of that case and confirming the conviction. It said that when a breaking is shown by the evidence as it appears, and that at the time of the breaking, personal property was stolen, the possession by the defendant of all or part of such stolen property, if unexplained to the satisfaction of the jury, is sufficient upon which to predicate the judgment of guilty. Now that is also the rule in this case. So you have heard the testimony. You saw the witnesses as they gave their testimony. It is for you to determine whether or not this man is guilty.
Yeah, anything that isn't walking through an open... So anything that isn't walking through an open door. A lot of talk about windows. Reaching it, opening up someone's window and then reaching inside. Breaking. I didn't know that. Now I do. Now I know what not to do. So I won't be tempted to reach into anyone's open windows. And taking anything.
Let's go back now to our land condemnation that we started. And
this better not be land description.
see
I
if
will
we can
scream.
finish this jury charge up.
I will scream so loud.
Ready? Here we go.
Okay, here we go.
You are instructed that the word necessity, as it appears in this question, does not mean absolute necessity, but reasonable necessity or reasonably necessary, but not absolutely imperative. You are instructed that in respect to your answer to this question, the burden of proof is upon the plaintiff, the city of Madison, to satisfy or convince your minds by the preponderance of the credible evidence to a reasonable certainty that the answer to this question should be yes. If the plaintiff has failed to meet the burden of proof in this regard, then it will be your duty to answer no to this question. You are further instructed that in case you are not unanimous in answering this question, there must be at least 10 jurors who agree to the answer contained in your verdict. Should a juror dissent in any instance, the name or names of such jurors or juror should be written in the space for that purpose. You are not to be influenced by any feeling you may have as to which party or parties you would like to have win this lawsuit, nor should you speculate as to whether or not your answer one way or another to this question will benefit either of the parties. Your duty is to try to determine the actual truth in respect to the inquiry contained in this question. You are not concerned with the manner or method of compensation which is to be made to the owners of the land in question in case the land is taken. You are to determine the question of necessity under the evidence and under the instructions of the court. The matter of just compensation is taken care of by other laws. You are the sole judges of the evidence in this case. You must weigh it and ascertain the truth from the facts. In your deliberations in this case, you are to rid yourself of any bias or prejudice whatsoever and consider the case fairly, honestly, and impartially, and in the light of reason and common sense, and determine the facts entirely from the evidence as given to you in court and from the rules of law as I have given them to you. And
that's it for that. Okay, we're moving on to the Q&A. Got in it real close.
Welcome to Q&A practice. Let's get started with some two voice. Get our fingers warmed up.
Two voice, okay.
And we'll start with defense attorney.
Defense attorney.
Ready?
I am ready.
Now, after you were taken to the emergency room, did you receive some treatment while I was there or after I left? When you were taken to the emergency room, you did go to the emergency hospital, did you not, at some time that evening? Yes. Did you receive some treatment? Yes. What kind of treatment did you receive? I'm not sure. I guess I got my lip sewed up by one of the doctors that was on duty at that time. I guess so. Were you then released from the emergency room? I went home sometime that night. All right. Did you at any time after that see another doctor? I would have to go back and look through the records. I don't remember. Do you mean that night? At any time after, not just that night. Well, somebody had to remove the stitches. Who was the doctor who removed the stitches? I don't remember. Did you also see a dentist in connection with one of your injuries? Yes. Was that for a tooth? Yes. And was that dentist a Dr. Crow? Do you recall? I don't know. And what did he do in connection with that tooth? Do you recall? X-rays and all that, I guess. As far as your lip is concerned, that is healed at this time, is that correct? Yes. And you have no complaints regarding your lip at this particular time? Not that I know of. I notice your tooth is still broken, is that right? Yes. Have you discussed any possible replacement with Dr. Crow? Yes.
Okay.
All right, now let's try some for voice practice.
Not for voice. Come on. I can barely keep up with two.
And we will start with the plaintiff.
Okay, plaintiff.
Ready?
I'm ready.
And what is, he's responsible for international sales for the most part. Is that non-US sales? Yes. Does Ryder North China have somebody who's in charge of US based sales? No. Now I think you previously testified that Ryder North US, Ryder North China, Ryder North Limited each make and book sales in the US. Is that fair? Yes. Do all three make and book sales in the US of canopy related products? I don't believe Ryder North Limited does. I'd have to look back at some documents, but I don't believe Ryder North Limited does. Okay, Steve, I just put in front of you Deposition Exhibit 3, which is a commercial invoice. It's dated June 1st, 2003, in the upper right-hand corner. Yes. Is that a fair characterization? General characterization of this document? Yes. In the upper left-hand corner, Ryder North Limited is listed, I believe, as the seller. Is that a fair characterization? It's hard to tell. It looks like the flap is turned over. Have you? I would assume so, though, based on a commercial invoice. Okay, have you seen a commercial invoice from Ryder North like this before? Yes. Okay, so I take it based on your previous experience with such commercial invoices, you would conclude that Ryder North Limited is listed as the seller on Deposition Exhibit 3. Is that fair? I believe so. Okay, and just one warning to you, try not to talk over the top of me, and I'll try to do the same, of course. It's very hard to get a transcript when we're talking over the top of each other, so I know you know where I'm going with questions. Just let me get through the questions before you answer, and I'll of course try to do the same with you. Understood. Okay, Deposition Exhibit 3 lists Ryder North Limited as the seller of what are described as 10 by 10 gazebo, crafts. Is that a fair characterization? Yes, it is. And 10 by 10 gazebo, crafts, that's the type of canopy product that's at issue in this case, is it not? I don't know based on that description what it's got an item number here. I'd have to reference back to the item number. I can't tell by just 10 by 10 gazebo crafts. So you're just not sure based on that description? No, if I saw something that had the item number on it, then I'd be able to tell a little bit more, but 10 by 10 gazebo crafts doesn't tell me what that it's the same thing as what's in this case. Okay, are there other types of products other than the canopies at issue in this case that could satisfy that description? Is that what you're saying? Yes. All right. You see how on deposition exhibit 3, it lists the consignee as Sears Roebuck and Company. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. And down below that, it indicates that UPS Supply Chain Solutions Inc., USA, should be notified. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. Would that mean that this UPS entity should be notified once the products were shipped into the US? Would that be your understanding? They must be the broker of record. That's probably why they would be notified. And would they be notified once the products made port in California? They would be notified before that, actually, if they were the broker of record. Okay, at what point before that would they be notified? Probably vessel departure. Okay, and does deposition exhibit 3 indicate that the products described therein were shipped into California, Gardena, California, to be specific? Let's just broaden it to California generally. It appears Vernon, California. And Vernon, California is listed on deposition exhibit 3 in the to line. Is that fair? That's not what I was looking at, but I'm assuming that's the same thing. I see. You were looking down below where it indicates the final destination and code as Vernon, California. Is that fair? Correct.
Okay, we're switching transcripts. Okay. We got 3 minutes left in this Q&A.
Excuse me. All right, just thought we'd take a little break there. So let's get back now to our transcript, back to the plaintiff attorney.
Okay, plaintiff.
Ready? Here we go. So based on that, you would conclude that the products described in deposition exhibit 3 were shipped into Vernon, California. Is that fair? It appears to be. And they were shipped by Ryder North Limited as the seller. Is that fair? That's what it appears. Okay, Steve, I put in front of you deposition exhibit 4, which is a commercial invoice. It lists Ryder North China Limited as the seller of certain products described in deposition exhibit 4. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. And the products described in deposition exhibit 4, 10 by 10 by 106, gazebo with screen. Did I read that accurately? Yes. Is that one of the products at issue in this case? Do you know? It may very well be. And could you pronounce for me the buyer of these products? Meyer. Is it Meyer Distribution Inc.? Yes. Okay, all right. And down at the bottom, Ray Weston signed this commercial invoice. Is that correct? That's correct. And he's listed as the president of Ryder North China. Is that correct? That's correct. Okay, I've just handed to you deposition exhibit 5, which is another commercial invoice. The seller is listed as Ryder North Limited and it's dated August 4, 2001. Is that a fair characterization? Yes. And the buyer here is Big Lots Stores Inc. Is that correct? Yes. And based on the notify box on deposition exhibit 5, would you conclude that the goods described in deposition 5 were shipped through California? You can't tell by the notify. That's just the logistics company, the carrier, who signed this commercial invoice on behalf of Ryder North Limited. Can you make out that signature? No, I can't. Now, do all the profits of Ryder North US go into the profits of Ryder North Limited to the best of your knowledge? Everything is consolidated, sales, margin, everything. Okay, and would that be the same for Ryder North China? All entities underneath Ryder North Limited get consolidated.
Okay, that's the end of that. That's the end of the stream, too. Let me move on to the test. I'll do the test tomorrow.
This
Save. I mean, bookmark. Save, like it's a video game. Okay, we're moving on to the next person in line. I'll be back to, well, technically it's today. Today, at 5 p.m. EDT, as always, to do a metaphor refantasio again. And on Blue Sky, I'll be doing my regular Steno practice thread. So if anyone wants to follow me on Blue Skies, you can take a peek at that. Feel free. All my links are on the channel page, and they are command. So, that's the end of my stream. This is the raid message. Copy and paste it. I'll see y'all later today for Metaphor Refantasio. Goodbye, everybody. Have a good time with Alton. Thank you so much for filling the slot and helping out. No problem. Was glad to do it. I'm always happy to do more stenography for people. Okay. Goodbye, everybody. Bye-bye.